We give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 channel members and patrons. Bob the Dragon, Datamagnet, Sergeant Puma, Cat Crab Lobster, and Duck Machine. Thank you very much for the support. It is much appreciated. Tantalus, written by ArchivistOnMountain. The bar at the edge of the spaceport took part in the traditions of the Wanderers. It was worn, held semi-concealed high-tech that worked occasionally, and was lighting deficient, regardless of the species that visited. Even this being was a kind not often seen anymore, and its movements betrayed age. As it slowly settled on a chair, the server, automated surface being impossible to repair faster than it broke out here, approached. "What do you have?" "I am of the Stirungic peoples. Please deliver for me 1 liter of water into which is forcibly dissolved 0.15 moles of carbon dioxide, flavored with the juice of mildly acidic fruits and lithium citrate. 2 creds store charge, 3 free intoxicants, or 25 free foodstuffs. Here's your chit." The server tossed a plastic rectangle on the table once the Stirungic had handed over the plastic credits. The drink followed a few minutes later. The old being was alone long enough for it to imbibe a quarter of the drink that it had ordered. The lure of the tales of somewhere not on this desolate rock had proved irresistible in the end. A youngish male of the local dominant species approached and asked, "What are you doing here, stranger?" The old wanderer took a sip of his drink. "Nothing, really. I just go wherever the next ship is heading." Astonishment translated well across species barriers. "And you came here?" The bar was full of bipedal beings, so they interpreted a shrug correctly. "He hadn't been here before," he paused. "How long has this planet been settled?" The youngster gave a shrug of his own and consulted with the barkeep, the 2 servers, the cook, and the occupants of 3 tables. The consensus answer was between 3 and 5,000 years. The old being sat back in repose. "That explains it. It wasn't settled when I was last here." "Ah, come on," the youngster exclaimed. He was backed by a large majority of the bar's customers. "There is no way that a being can live that long." The old man gave a snort of content. "Look, who knows everything," he said as he extracted a datapad from inside his clothing. "Kid, how many species have you met?" The kid extended his hands and began counting them off. "Thrisnik, Holophod, Sectopod, Drak, Graki, Thranx, and you. So, 7, right?" The kid was pretty proud of his tally. "Yep. And you've never actually left this planet, right?" That was a mortal shot to his ego, and completely justified, he knew. He hung his head. "Yeah." The old traveler laughed. "Kid, I've been to," he checked the datapad, "over 2.5 million planets and met over 500,000 sapient species. There's a lot more out there than you can even understand. So don't go telling people about the limits of their biology, 'cause you're probably wrong." The kid cocked his head to the side. It wasn't a gesture native to his species, but it was a useful shorthand that almost all sapiens picked up on. "So how many species live longer than yours?" He barked out a laugh. "My species only lives to about 35 years, 42 years if we're really lucky." "So, how did you manage to live this long?" the kid asked with a smirk. "Well, kid, that's a real story." The rest of the bar quieted down to listen in. We had just begun our interstellar exploration. Like every other race, we were looking for new worlds to inhabit, room to expand, and resources to use. But we were looking for one other thing: a dead system. Our lifespans are short, and our scientists had a plan to change that, but it was biologically hazardous. We needed a system where it was safe to play with mutagens and aggressively recombinant viruses. We didn't know how fertile the galaxy is. We didn't know, until we visited, that every star and its planets, that life has spread to every rock and every cloud and every ice ball that you can find. 300 billion stars, and each one with a biosphere or 2, and the rest was lousy with bacteria. For us, that meant two things. First, that there were plenty of empty planets with biosphere just waiting for a Sophont race to claim and hold it. We had room that we wanted. Second, that there is not and will never be a dead system. The leader of the search for a dead system visited 10, then 20, then 50 systems. All had life. All were primed to contaminate our life extension research, and all spewed forth monsters if the vector agents escaped the lab. And they would. Our experience was very clear on that. Sampling the local solar wind, every system had encapsulated spores traveling from planet to planet, making even constructed satellites the wrong place to put a biomanipulation lab. And then it hit them. Those spores weren't just omnipresent in each system. They floated from star to star, flying across the interstellar void to seed each and every system. There will never be a dead system, because the galaxy seeds them all. He would never reach his 45th year. While the settlement surveyors were cataloging world after world, the captain decided that he would just make a dead system. It wasn't as if life were rare. It wasn't as if the system would stay dead. But for a brief while, they would serve. Any species would have time to achieve the dreams that they never had time for. He found a system beyond the colonists, a system where the worlds were too active for settlement, and loosened a bacterium that feasted on life, an organic nanodissembler. And then he went home. The scientists built their isolated lab, and supported by the labor of my entire people, they cracked the wall. They found the reactions of death in our cells and created alternatives that would let us finally live. They never got to see the results of their work. A small fleet of 5 ships appeared in our home system. We had made contact with a few spacefaring peoples, and we had standard first contact packages. We were hailed, and we received a one-way comm package. This is what they said. Your species has searched for a dead world to safely contain biological experiments. That is commendable. How you found a place is not. Your destruction of an entire system's biosphere was short-sighted. It was also insufficiently investigated. You destroyed our colony. We have come to ensure that you will never harm others again. They had already eliminated all of our fledgling colonies. Our orbital technology was destroyed. Our launch facilities and the manufacturing that supported them were destroyed. The fleet shot a flurry of small items into our sun, and then they departed. Our government quickly understood why the aliens are angry, and agreed with their anger. The precision orbital bombardment showed an impressive analysis and intelligence, so our leaders just broadcast an apology and set of coordinates, a location in space and time. It was several months before we understood what the alien had done. Our sun was oscillating, ramping up its output, then going quiescent in a cycle that was irregular and shortening. We knew then that our time was over. The sun would nova, and our people would be gone. That fleet of 5, they arrived at a specified place in time and found a deep probe ship. The crew handed over the captain to the alien fleet, and then they too were destroyed. The captain, he got exactly what he wanted, what he had killed so many to achieve. The aliens had plundered the longevity research, and then they performed it on him. The captain would no longer age. He would live forever with the weight of his crimes, alone to see the achievements of others, never to achieve himself. The bar was silent for a measurable pause at the end of the story, until, of course, the young kid spoke up. What was the alien race that wiped out your people? The wanderer had finished his drink during the telling of his story, and he levered himself up off of the chair. He walked slowly to the door and said, "Humans are this to me." And he walked outside in the encroaching light. Behind him, out of his hearing, a member of the crowd said, "The ascended elder race. He killed off one of their colonies and they let him live. He got off easy." The murmurs of the bar crowd agreed. In large measure, one of the servers, a being who was working his way through higher education, pondered it for a while. To be given an infinite amount of useless hours, to be able to see everything that you could have been forever denied you. To have no friends, or kin, or biological legacy, while all around you being squandered the gifts you would give anything to possess. He got back to work. The bastard deserved it. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and